South Carolina is in the works for a new bill that would allow school districts to forgive any days missed due to weather. That means students wouldn't have to make up the days that they missed last week. The school districts would make this decision on their own, but Richland County 2 says that decision isn't as easy as you may think. If you're an XP user looking to upgrade, Microsoft is now offering discounts on their Windows 8 devices. Go to www.microsoft.com for more details. Virginia was devastated after the loss of her sister and turned to the Department of Public Safety here in Aiken to see if she could use her grief to help. Together, they came up with a solution that would help keep the bloodhound in everyone's hearts. Student government and Be the Match came together today to help save the life of a fellow Gamecock. Madeline Van tells us how a simple cotton swab could be the answer to one family's prayers. The skies have been sunny most of the day here in Columbia, but now the clouds have moved in. The rain's right behind them. I'll let you know when that should start coming up. Delayed, canceled. That's the message passengers are getting all across the country.
It was chaos a little bit yesterday.
The chaos continued today as airlines have already canceled more than 2,500 flights since this morning. 7 flights to and from Columbia have already been canceled. Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. has seen the most cancellations so far, with about 70% of the daily schedule grounded. Randy Croft was on his way back to South Carolina from D.C. when the winter weather hit.
I couldn't get into Atlanta, Charleston, Tampa, Charlotte. Everything was booked, and then every flight after those booked flights were canceled.
Croft wound up renting a car and driving back to the Columbia airport to pick up his bags. A spokesperson from Columbia Metropolitan Airport says even though we may not be seeing snow and ice here, anyone who plans to fly should check the status of their flight before they head to the airport.
If there's a potential for weather where you're going, go ahead and call ahead, even if you've not heard from your airline. For the passenger to be proactive, call ahead and see if your airline has already made the decision.
Lynn says the cancellations are up to the individual airlines and that they factor in things like where the most planes are needed and how to get passengers where they need to go.
But again, it's all about safety. The airlines, their number one priority is safety, so they will not hesitate whatsoever to cancel a flight if it is a safety issue involved with the weather.
In the meantime, Randy encourages those who have to fly to be patient.
Be nice to the customer service counter people because everybody's frustrated.
It's been 1 week since the winter weather moved through the state, knocking out power, forcing cancellations of schools, and sending South Carolina into a state of emergency. After missing 2 days from snow in January, last week's storm brought the total snow day count up to 5. While students love the snow days,
I went sliding all over the snow, and then I had a snowball fight with my friends, and then we picked icicles.
Teachers are having to make adjustments to their lesson plans in order to teach everything the students need to learn before standardized testing begins.
We like to go a little bit deeper into our curriculum, and now that we're missing a week, we're going to have to just basically go to the nuts and bolts of everything that they need to learn.
South Carolina is in the works for a new bill that would allow school districts to forgive any days missed due to weather. That means students wouldn't have to make up the days that they missed last week. The school districts would make this decision on their own, but Richland County 2 says that decision isn't as easy as you may think.
It's not just going to school for the sake of going to school.
Libby Roof says Richland School District 2 is looking at several options that would allow students to make up lost instruction time. Students could make up the days by staying extra hours after regular school days or by coming in on Saturdays.
Really all boils down to the overall success of our students, and every moment that they can spend with their students in the classroom is invaluable.
I really do think it's important that the kids still get what they need to get and us not have to cut out things just to make sure we're prepared for the test.
Whitney says she is willing to make up the days whenever if that's what it takes to help keep learning fun. Kara Stokes, Carolina News.
But what I needed to do, right? I didn't do anything that I needed to.
Friend, sister, hero. These are just a few of the words Virginia Johnson uses to describe her sister. Master Corporal Sandy Rogers was shot and killed in 2012 as she responded to a backup call near Eustis Park in Aiken. Virginia Rogers describes her sister as a natural police officer.
One night she was on a shift and she walked by and they were chasing some fella and they couldn't find him. And she said, well, he's right there over there high in the trees. I smell him. So she just had a real keen sense of smell. And they just called her the bloodhound up here.
Virginia was devastated after the loss of her sister and turned to the Department of Public Safety here in Aiken to see if she could use her grief to help. Together, they came up with a solution that would help keep the bloodhound in everyone's hearts. Virginia is beginning a campaign to raise $8,000 to help the Aiken Police Department purchase 2 canine officers. One dog will be named Sandy. The other will be named after Scotty Richardson, an officer who was killed just 1 month before Rogers.
And it just so happens, we're going to get 2 dogs to honor both of these officers.
Aiken Police have 1 canine officer now on the force. Captain David Turno worked with Sandy for many years and says the dogs will be a perfect way to keep Sandy's spirit around the office.
Sandy would not have let me kiss her on the nose, but the new Sandy will. And that's the key. We want, and officers are going to be the same way that I will. They're going to show that affection to that animal in the memory of those officers.
I think she's smiling down on us because people do love Sandy and still love Sandy. And I still want Sandy around. And through a dog would be a good idea.
Virginia hopes the dogs will continue her sister's legacy of catching criminals in Aiken. Kara Stokes, Carolina News.